to stay alive from place to place, always on the move. Not the sort of life a man would choose, but if he was to go on eating, he had to keep following the food supply. With a dependable food supply, population increased. These were the beginnings of civilization. In the centuries that followed, his inventiveness carried him much farther and much faster.
Of course, you were wondering how we could afford all these luxuries.
I want something big.
To eat everything here?
Look at all of it. Look at all these pallets.
Rising costs have led to years of austerity and challenges to make ends meet.
Can't pay, won't pay!
375 food banks with major parts of our economy shut
The
down.
Church of England today saying there's urgent help to tackle hunger.
So in the UK, we have got currently 14.4 million people who live in persistent poverty. It's poverty that lasts for a long time within families, and people find it quite difficult to exit poverty. We've got an average income of around about £30,000 a year. When you remove all the billionaires, that drops down considerably. So our average wage, it causes poverty because the cost of living isn't, keeping in line with people's incomes. So we've got lots of anti-poverty charities in the UK, and their main goal is to end poverty. But for me, food bank use is only one element of food insecurity. It only counts those people who've used a food bank. We think about food insecurity, that doesn't end their poverty, that just gives them food to eat that day. So what it did was it trapped people in poverty instead of relieving poverty. Localising production and localising consumption, I think, is inevitably where we're going to have to go.
Fungal is a CIC. What we do, we go into communities, we build farms and facilities that turn local corporate waste into food. We then work with probation services to turn that food into nutritious meals for community fridges, for people who are suffering or affected by food insecurity. Fungal started 4 years ago as a university project that was exploring food system collapse in the Anthropocene. I built a mushroom lab in my bedroom, and that was made out of objects like a ping pong table. Essentially, it was like a post-apocalyptic mushroom lab which grew mushrooms off of household waste. And then that led to me joining a startup company where we were developing the tech to control the growth parameters of mushrooms, which then led to Fungal, which is a company that goes into unused community spaces, builds farms and facilities that turns corporate waste into food. That food is then distributed into communities through food austerity networks.
I started working with Fungal in 2023. Norton got some funding to build a community mushroom farm. The proposal was to build a community mushroom farm, which is a little bit of a new concept. When I got involved with a community garden and I started seeing the impact both in the biodiversity of local community space and socially, of how bringing people together in growing spaces can be really beneficial. So that's why I was really interested in the community mushroom project.
The cost of living in the UK is rising.
In the UK, over 7 million adults struggle to afford food.
Hunger activates our threat response system.
So people with food insecurity lean towards the foods that are not recommended.
The cost of food plays out in the health of the population, who are forced not only to sometimes go without, but are forced to make unhealthy decisions for their families.
Are they necessarily healthy for you?
Food insecurity is something that's quite overlooked in the UK. I think we think of countries like third world countries and we go, okay, that's food poverty. But realistically, I think what food poverty is, there's elements to it, there's levels to it. So if you're not eating nutritious, healthy foods, if you're eating stuff that comes in a box and you're not eating these fresh vegetables, that isn't healthy. You at least need a balance of like fresh food and tinned stuff and things that you might find in a corner shop. That is the issue here. There's lots of easy options, but are they healthy? Not so much. So I think quality of the food, the quantity, are you eating like well-balanced meals?
So today's event was a log cultivation workshops. We brought the people from the Gorton Monastery here today to sort of drill some holes in the logs, add the dowels to the logs, and then 9 to 12 months from now there'll be some shiitake mushrooms growing out just around the corner.
I joined the workshop this morning to have a look and surprised at how easy it was. I think previously I thought it was some kind of mystical magic that only somebody with lots of skill and expertise could do. It's actually really simple to grow your own mushrooms. And one of the wonderful things about doing outside projects is that it's really accessible for people and get to know each other. That helps fight isolation and loneliness and generally improves everyone's well-being and strengthens the bonds of the community.
Somehow made it into a business. So. Yeah. I would say the meaning of the mushroom to me is it's this organism which in nature it connects everything together, but also as we use it as a food produce it also helps to bring communities together. So I think it's got parallels between like its biological sort of environment and also its like urban sort of reimagining.
I think local organisations could have a really valuable role to play. It could eventually start to reduce issues with food insecurity. Especially people are more aware of how they can play a part in that organisation. So in tackling local incidences of food insecurity, I think community-based organisations, I wish they had a bigger role to play.
To me, community means people coming together to support each other, regardless of what that means.
Really helped me like rebuild, is they really do help people, like really deeply.
We have so much power to create a more beautiful and caring world that reveres nature and all its abundance of medicines and gifts, and it's initiatives like this that can help to manifest and create that.
The meaning of community is everything, really. It's people coming together, because obviously we're all more than the sum of our parts when we come together as a team.
So what Fungal wants to bring to their community is essentially food. That's our main purpose, that's what we're driven to do.
Much love from Fungal!
Just overcoming the challenges where it's listening to what the community want and then sort of taking that away with us and figuring out how we can apply that to the food that we're cooking so it's inclusive of everybody. And yeah, I think that's one of the things we've learned by talking to the communities and being present there.